Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel, and the team news should be out in 10 minutes maximum now for United v Watford in the FA Cup. As I've been doing, I've got some of the newspapers, what they're predicting the team might be. I've looked at the Manchester Evening News. They've said Henderson in goal. They've got a whole new back four. Well, Bailey's played a few games recently, but he wasn't in the last game. So the back four that the Manchester Evening News have gone with is Williams at right back, Axel Tuanzebe and Baye as the two centre backs, and Telles at left back. Personally, I don't fancy Williams will come in. He's not had a look in for ages. But that's what the Manchester Evening News has said, and I often like to think that they've got an in with the club being in Manchester, obviously. They've got McTominay and Matic as two central midfield players. I like the look of that. They've got, when they write it down, it's not really in a proper given order. You've got to jumble up the forwards and jumble up the defenders and work out who's going to be where. So from what they've said, the forward playing players would be, they've got Juan Mata in it and they've got Dan James in it. So I'm going to assume Juan Mata on the right, Dan James on the left, Van der Beek at number 10 and Greenwood at number 9. I like that lineup. I don't expect that back four to play. I wouldn't mind whatsoever McTominay and Matic together, Mata on the right, James on the left, Van der Beek at number 10. I think that'd be really good. You know, I think we'd hold the ball well, pass it around well. I think you need a striker who can hold the ball up well, and I think Anthony Martial needs to play. The Evening News are suggesting Greenwood. I think Greenwood probably will play, don't get me wrong. But no matter who you've got in midfield, no matter what the strength of the rest of your team, your centre forward's such an important position. And I believe Anthony Martial's so important to this team. Obviously, Cavani's suspended. It would have been handy if he was available to give Martial a rest. But I'm not 100% sold on Greenwood yet. I'm really not. I know why he plays wide right. I'm not sold on him, but he plays wide right, and it's not really his favoured position, or so I'm told. Really, he's a centre forward. So if it is Greenwood at centre forward tonight with Mata and James on the flanks, we might see we might see that Greenwood might have a good game and maybe start putting pressure on the other players for a game at centre forward. But I can't see it. I just can't see it. But we'll see. The Independent, they've gone with Henderson in goal. They've gone with a back four that I actually think you'll see. They've gone with Axel at right back with Bailey and Maguire as centre backs and Telles at left back. They've sort of gone, as I say, same again. I've had to work out the positions. It looks like Matic and Van der Beek in midfield, and they've got Mata to the right and James to the left, I'm assuming, and Lingard as a number 10 and Greenwood as a number 9. I suppose Lingard could be wide right and Mata as a number 10. But basically, there's a attacking four players in there of Mata, Lingard, James, and Greenwood. I don't think. I hope I'm right in saying that Jesse Lingard doesn't get a game. I think you just stopping players from getting games who are pushing for games. Jesse Lingard's not played for us for ages. I was hoping maybe he might go out on loan or maybe even get transferred in this window. So I don't really, unless it's to put him in the shop window. But we do want to win the tie. We do want to get through. Don't forget. And if we've got Jesse Lingard at number 10 and Mason Greenwood at number 9. You know, I think they could be in for a tough time. I really do. But that's the Independent suggestion. The Evening Standard, they've gone with De Gea in goal. The only one of the three that I've looked at that have gone with De Gea in goal. They've gone with the same back four: Axel Tuanzebe, Bailey, Maguire, and Telles as a back four. Again, they've got Van der Beek and Matic in there really as central midfield players, and then the front four again. I'll work it out for myself, but they've got Mata in there. It looks in the standard. It looks to me like Mata would probably be at number 10 because Dan James, Mason Greenwood, and Marcus Rashford are all in there as well. So I would imagine that would be James to the right and Rashford to the left, and Greenwood at number 9. Personally, I had a little go at it. Anybody who saw me show yesterday. I'm hoping that we see this team. I'm thinking Henderson will probably start in goal. I think De Gea will come back in for the Burnley game and for the Liverpool game. This is sort of the team that I hope, but it's also made up of players. We need a strong team. We need to get through. You know, all he's said time and time again, he's desperate to win a trophy, and the FA Cup's a trophy that we could have a chance of winning. We got to 3 semi-finals last year. We've been knocked out already in 1 semi-final this year. We want to get to at least a semi-final again in the FA Cup. So we've got to get through this game and then see who we get in the draw for the next round. But personally, I think this is what I'm saying. It's got to be a strong team, but I do think all these players are banging on the door for games and deserve games. They've been on the bench for so long and getting the odd game here and there or the odd 10 minutes. So I think Henderson in goal. Although we did play the last game, I think he'll get one more game. Then De Gea will come back in. I think a back four of Axel Tuanzebe, Bailey, Maguire, and Telles. I think McTominay and Matic will play. Fred's played virtually every game recently, and even when both Fred and McTominay have played, McTominay, for whatever reason, seems to be getting an hour each game and getting subbed. So I think McTominay will start tonight, and I think Matic will start. So I think McTominay and Matic will be... Obviously, Matic hasn't started now for, I don't know, about 4 games or something. So I think McTominay and Matic will get a start in the middle. I think Juan Mata must be due a game. Dan James is due a game. I see them two playing on the flanks. I see Van der Beek playing at number 10. And I'd love that lineup, except with Marshall up top. If Marshall was up top in that lineup, I think it'd be a really solid team. If Greenwood plays as the number 9, or Rashford, even Rashford as a number 9, I don't fancy it. So I'm hoping it would be that. The draw, by the way, already I'm looking at, hopefully we get through, maybe I shouldn't be looking at the draw. I noticed when I was reading about it today that the draw is on Monday evening at 7 o'clock, and the draw in both of the next 2 rounds. That's unusual in the FA Cup. So on Monday night at 7 o'clock, if we're through, you can check who we get, not just in the next round, but if we get through in the round after that. I was just watching a bit of the Arsenal-Newcastle game before we came on. That's a pretty even game. 0-0 it was the last I saw. Been quite a few games this afternoon, haven't there?
There's a few people in the comments saying that Dan James is rumoured to not be included.
Right. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't surprise me. He can't fit everybody in. If Jesse Lingard is now in the reckoning, you just can't second guess it. Why wouldn't Dan James get a game after playing against Leeds and doing well? And I don't know, when he come on as a sub, didn't he, for the last few minutes to shore it up? Who was that against when we were leading? And dead recently, I can't remember what game it was now, but he come on as a sub literally for 7 or 8 minutes recently, didn't he, to shore up the left-hand side. Who was that against?
He did. It was against.
He's not. I wouldn't have thought he was completely out of favour. It must have been a tight game for him to try and shore it up. It was to stop Matty Cash coming forward. It was against Villa. He was sent on basically to stop their fullback getting forward.
Yes.
That was against Villa, who were doing really well. It was a big, important game, an important 3 points. So why he would send him on in that game to do a job, which he did perfectly fine, and then not be included, I don't know. When they say included, I assume they say not even on the bench. Is that what I mean?
Well, to start with, there was the shout that he's not starting. Obviously, I'm not sure where that information comes from, but then also that he's not included at all from somebody else. So I'm not sure how much truth's in that. Lineups out.
Come on, let's have it.
Henderson in goal.
Endo, yeah.
Bailey and
Tuanzebe,
I think, at centre half.
Right. That's what the Evening News said. I bet
Telles and Williams at full-back.
I think the Evening News have got this one right. Telles and Williams. So let me guess. McTominay and Matic.
No Matic.
No Matic after he's not played in the last couple of games.
No Matic.
McTominay.
So we've got...
It's going to be McTominay and Van der Beek.
I'm going to have to just read them out. We'll have to decide what the shape is afterwards. So we've got Mata, Greenwood, Lingard, James... Van der Beek and McTominay. So it looks like that would be to me McTominay.
Lingard's at number 10, isn't he? Yeah. Either Lingard on the right and Mata at 10, or Mata on the right and Lingard at 10. Van der Beek's playing again in the position that doesn't really suit him.
At 8.
He's playing next to McTominay, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. James on the left, so whoever was saying that was wrong, and then Greenwood at 9. It's absolutely driving me round the bend. These players who need to get games, they need to get games in strong teams. You cannot see what they can do and what they can bring to the table when there's so many changes, and he's got to get the right players in, playing with the right players. Van der Beek playing in a deeper role, that doesn't suit him properly. Lingard's probably playing at number 10 with Greenwood at number 9. We could have the Barcelona team, the greatest ever Barcelona team, except with Lingard and Greenwood up front, and you might struggle. It's just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Have you got? Can you bring up the? Can you bring up the Watford team there?
Yeah, we'll be able to. On the bench.
Our bench, go on.
Our bench is De Gea, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Fernandes, Fred, Matic, Ighalo, Martial, and Rashford.
Ighalo and Martial, eh? So if it's not going well, Martial comes on. Oh no, Bruno on the bench. No.
Yeah, Bruno.
Did you say Bruno? Yeah.
Yeah, Maguire, De Gea, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Bruno, Fred, Matic, Ighalo, Martial, Rashford.
Right. And the Watford team?
I'm trying to get it up now.
Ighalo on the bench, eh? If we're winning comfortably, he'll get a game. If we're not, he won't. So I will suggest that means he won't. I'm really concerned about that lineup.
Watford team: Bachmann, Navarro, Sirialta, Troost-Ekong, Messina, Sarr, Chalobah, Hughes, Zinchenko, João Pedro, and Gray.
No Troy Deeney. Is Deeney? Well, you wouldn't know, I suppose. I've not been watching Watford's results on Watford's team. I don't know whether Deeney's been playing all the time, but he's normally an handful when we play against him. Whether that means he's been rested or maybe he's not in the team these days, I don't know. Is he on the bench, Troy Deeney?
No.
He's not on the bench.
No.
No.
A bit deflated. I can sense you a bit deflated, aren't you?
I'm proper deflated, yeah.
Yeah.
I really think Jesse Lingard's had his day at United. And I'm not convinced Greenwood's going to be the answer, and I just think it's good. I mean, I don't know what Watford's back for. I looked at Watford today, where they are in the league. They're sixth in the Championship, which obviously is a playoff position. They are. I mean, obviously, I don't know all the Watford players. You just read the team out. I thought I would have knew more of the players. Don't know if he's made many changes. Maybe you could Google that, find that out. I don't know. So I don't know if he's made a lot of changes, but Watford are sixth in the Championship. So obviously they're already in a playoff. I shouldn't say already. They're in a playoff place as we speak. But they're only 6 points behind the second place team with a game in hand on them. So, there's a chance they could easily be 3 points outside one of the automatic promotion places. So if they've picked what would be a strong team for them, it's not an easy ride, this. It is not an easy. People might think it should be a walkover and we should beat Watford easily. I mean, we just beat Sheffield United 3-2, didn't we, the other week? They had a good chance to equalise in injury time as well. Henderson made a decent save. So we just beat Sheffield United 3-2 the other week. We've got 2 points in the Premier League. Don't tell me Watford wouldn't have at least 2 points if they were in the Premier League. People might be thinking, it's only Watford. Yeah, it's not. Look, we could go and win 4-0. It happens. You can't predict things what are going to happen in football. It's a funny old game. But I'd say this though. I would say this. It'd be just as much a shock to me if we went and beat them 4-0 as it would be if they were to knock us out.
Yes,
it's an even chance. And look, I expect us to win.
Yes,
but if you think we're going to walk it, I would say there's as much chance of them beating us as there is of us walking it.
There's as much chance of them nicking a 1-0 win as there is of us getting a 4-0 win.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a more even game, and I expect us to nick it, or win it, I should say, but I don't expect us to win it easily. I really don't.
Aidan Wilson saying it's a week for Watford team, this, Rick.
Is it a weak Watford team?
Yeah, and Craig Virgo saying Watford have made 7 changes there.
Right, okay. Obviously, I don't know the strength of the Watford reserves, do I, and that I really don't know. But I wouldn't have thought they'd be terrible. Do you know what I mean? I mean, 7 changes is a lot of changes in it. So hopefully we can overpower them. But if we can't overpower them, what does that tell you? I feel so sorry for Van der Beek. I feel so sorry for him. He should be playing at number 10, and Matic should be playing next to McTominay. Yeah. And the ball would be getting fed into him. And now it's Van der Beek passing to Lingard at number 10, probably. I'm assuming it'll be Lingard at 10. I think Mata will start on the right, me.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I think Mata will start on the right. I think Lingard will start at 10. So Van der Beek's in Lingard and Greenwood with the ball. I don't see that being as good as Matic in Van der Beek.
It's funny, actually, because in most teams that we pick, when you look at our heat maps, they tend to be kind of heavily weighted to the left, don't they? Have you noticed that?
No, I haven't, no.
On our heat maps, we tend to play a lot more down the left than we do down the right. I don't know if that's because of the players that we tend to pick on the right. But like our number, whoever's on the right tends to end up as like a second striker a lot of the time, don't they? Whether it be Rashford or Greenwood. And a lot of the play develops down the left. Today, it looks to me like we're heavily weighted towards the right. It'll be a different... a different way of it. I think we'll attack down the other side a lot, is what I'm saying. So we've got Mata, Lingard, Van der Beek, all who play in that kind of right-hand side number 10 type role, don't they?
Yeah, so we could be attacking more down the right,
Yeah. Also, it's particularly crowded. It's all players that play in the same position.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's 3 players that all want to occupy that same space. They're all number 10s who really like to drift right.
What on earth has Nemanja Matic done wrong?
I've just said it. I've just said there's 3 players there for that position: Mata, Van der Beek, and Lingard. But Greenwood's been playing in that position.
Right, yeah.
Matt James has also played a bit in that position.
We've got Mata, Lingard, Greenwood, and James who have all played for us wide on the right loads of times.
Yeah.
And there's lots of people saying start playing Van der Beek wide on the right. We've got 5 players there who can all play wide on the right.
Yeah, it's. I mean, let's hope between McTominay, Mata, Van der Beek, and James, we can really get the ball on the ground and play some nice football. Greenwood's capable of playing some nice football, and hopefully, while he's playing in a central role, he'll be. At least when he does shoot, he'll be central rather than from a wide position, and he has got thunder in his boots, as you pointed out time and time again.
Yeah.
So if he keeps it simple and waits for the right opportunities to come, and then obviously uses his strongest attributes, his shooting, maybe it might work for him. Let's hope so. Lingard like I say, I'm not sure if Lingard will play on the right or if Mata will play on the right, but just disappointed not to see Matic get a run.
Devastated. Matic played at Goodison the other week, and then did he play at Sheffield? And I thought he played, particularly at Goodison, but in both games I thought he played really well. So, I wasn't shocked not to see him against Villa. I wasn't shocked not to see him. I'd have picked him, by the way. I'd have picked him every day of the week in front of Fred, me. Bigger, stronger.
I'm just going to mention a couple of things here. Golden Axe in the comments, if Rick was in charge, we'd all be asleep by half time. Yeah. The reason I mention that is because earlier on in the chat here, Torman, who's here every week, has mentioned... let me just go back to it. How he thinks it's funny how the famous Barcelona teams of old were regarded as the best teams ever to have played the game for the tiki-taki style.
Yeah.
And that tiki-taki style is just lots of simple passes.
That's all it is.
That's what Torman has pointed out.
Yeah. That's all it is. Lots of simple passes.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
It's not boring.
So who's the guy who said we'd be asleep?
So it's Golden Axe who said that.
Yeah.
It's Golden Axe.
That's what I want to play. Lots and lots of simple passes. And if you can't pass it forward, pass it sideways. If there isn't a sideways pass on, give it backwards, make yourself available, get it again, pass and move, pass and move, pass and move.
Pass them to death.
Ticky-tacky, pass them to death, pass them off
Don't let them have a kick.
Don't let them have a kick at the ball.
At the moment,
what's he called again? You will not fall asleep watching my team play football.
Golden Axe,
I'm telling you, Golden Axe, you would not fall asleep watching my team play football. It'd be absolutely wonderful to watch.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we don't dominate any opponent, do we? Going back to playing Rochdale in the cup, flipping 12 months ago.
Rochdale.
You can't dominate Rochdale.
Yeah, we don't.
Do you know what I mean?
The ball
what chance have we got? City have just come to our place and dominated us playing that same style. Yeah. That's what we're trying to emulate. We want to play that style. Doing. Yes.
But I don't think City fans were bored the other night.
No.
You might have been bored with it. City fans won't have been bored with it. They'd have been over the moon with it.
Yeah.
We need to start keeping the ball better. That's what we need to do, Golden Axe.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. We've got to keep the ball better and for longer periods.
And that is what
sustained pressure.
That is what these team selections are all about. What we're talking about, the players that you want in the team. I noticed you retweeted like a poll on Twitter yesterday about 2 midfield fours that someone was on. Yeah. And one was the midfield four that he prefers, and the other was the midfield four that doesn't hardly get a game.
Yeah, yeah.
And even on the poll on Twitter, there wasn't thousands of votes, but there was enough. Yeah. But people recognise that the 4 players who aren't getting a game at the moment, so James, Mata, Matic, and Van der Beek, are better at keeping the ball than Fred, McTominay, Bruno, and Pogba. They recognise it.
There was over 1,000 votes on it.
1,600 votes or something like that. Yeah.
It was only just into it, but when you think the way everybody loves Pogba, everybody loves Bruno, but everybody loves Fred, you'd think that poll would have come out in the other way round, wouldn't you?
Surely.
But maybe there's a few more people can actually see it than we actually think. Anyone else on?
Josh Harper, Rick, we're already out of 2 cup competitions and 1 point above Leicester, 4 points above Everton in the league. Do you think there's any progress at all? No control over these games at all?
Is there any progress at all? Progress since when, Josh? I'd have to ask you that. I don't think there's too much progress. I really don't, if I'm honest. Look, we finished 3rd in the league. But I think we got 66 points last season, the same as we got the year before, didn't we? We might get a few more this season. We might get a few more. If I'm dead honest, if I'm really, really honest, I'm surprised how well we're doing with the style of football that we are playing. Yeah. Maybe they'll go on to prove me wrong. Maybe they'll keep playing like this. Maybe they'll go on. Look, I'd love them to go. There's no reason why we can't win the league from the situation we're in. You know, if we win on Wednesday night or Tuesday night, we win on Tuesday night, we're 3 points clear of Liverpool.
Yeah.
There's no reason in this situation that we're in right now that we can't go on and win the league. I think the reason that we can't go on and win the league is that we don't play football well enough.
Josh Harper seems to agree with you. He's just we're going backwards, mate. Wrong philosophy at the club altogether.
It is the wrong philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, we need to play more like City and more like Liverpool. And look, I would absolutely, I'd be the happiest man in the world if we won the league. Whoever's playing in the team and whatever style of football we're playing, I'd give me bottom dollar for us to win the league again. The sooner the better. I just do not see it happening playing like this. But I've got to admit, we're this far into the season, it's not like we've only played 7 or 8 games. I am stunned where we're at. I cannot see it continuing. But I hope it does. Well, that's all I can say.
I mentioned this to you recently, didn't I? That our points tally, I don't believe is sustainable based on how we're actually getting our points. So we've got something like 80 odd percent.
Before you carry on, what you're going to say, I know what you're going to say. It's not just about, by the way, how we're playing football, is it?
No,
it's not just about that. It's also on top of that the fact that we've carry on.
So all I was going to say was that We've won 80 odd % of our points from being in losing positions.
Yeah.
And yet we're only, so that means that in order to get 3 points, you need to score twice because you're in losing positions and for 80 odd % of the points that you're gaining. Mm-hmm. But we're only averaging about 1.8 goals a game.
Yeah.
So it's actually mathematically unsustainable where we are at the moment. Mm-hmm. Our goals for and against is maximum efficiency of the goal distribution. It's maximum efficiency of that.
I'll have a look at the table now. I think our goal difference is about 8 or 9.
It only needs to slip slightly, and all of a sudden, you're not accumulating points at anything like the rate that you are at the moment. Here we go. Yeah, BL Garner. Rick, if we kept up our points on average from this point, we'd finish on 78 points.
Right, I was just going to work that out. I'm glad he's done that.
Yeah. BL Garner. So 78 points we'd finish on.
I'll be staggered. Look, I was about to say I'd love us to do that, but I think we need about 85 to have a chance of winning it. I mean, City and Liverpool, I said this before the ball was kicked this season, for us to have a chance of winning it, we need City and Liverpool to slip. And they are slipping, and they have slipped. They've already, they've both taken quite a few less points, I think, than they normally take. When I say normally, the last 2 or 3 seasons, than they normally take at this point. City got 100 points one season, 90-odd points another season. Liverpool got 90-odd points last season and the season before. We're not getting 90-odd points. I said that before the ball was kicked. We need for us to have a chance, we need them to slip. Now, they have slipped, but how far will they slip? 85 points, I said before the season, is the maximum I think we can get. So we need them to slip that far. And I think it's possible. City are looking good again at the minute. City are looking good. They might just... If you suddenly win 10 games in a row, 30 points, a lot of points. A lot of points added to your tally that you're on. City are capable. They both are. Maybe we are. But City are definitely capable of going and winning 10 or 12 games in a row, another 30, 36 points on the tally. If they go and do that, we are not staying in the hunt.
Well, you only have to look at the game against us the other night, City United game the other night. They look like a team that are capable of like dictating their own future. They can go and command 30 points. Yeah, they can go and they can go and just set the stall out and get those 30 points. They're in control of their own destiny, so to speak, because of the style of football that they play.
You're never absolutely certain that you win, but I know what you mean.
They're more in control of their own destiny. It seems to me when you play football like that, we're kind of flipping a coin every game and just seeing where it falls.
Hopefully somebody scores a blinder.
Relying on moments of magic.
One even.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just relying on moments of magic. And at the moment, them moments of magic seem to be, distributed in the most efficient way to get us the maximum points from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That only needs to start landing the other side, and all of a sudden you're banging trouble.
I think it's already slipped. We beat Wolves, and what was it, a 94th minute winner or something? And I don't want to sound like too much. I don't want to sound too negative, but it's just. Rashford had to chase it to the dead ball line. He kept it in by the dead ball line, dribbled back into the box, shot with his weaker foot that he normally doesn't hit it well with. It hits a defender when it's going one way, it goes in this corner. So lucky to win that Wolves game. And then the Villa game as well, we won it, but it was under a little bit of pressure near the end. I just think that we're riding our luck time and time again. We were riding our luck when we were coming from behind to win. And at the minute, I think we're riding our luck. I'm saying riding our luck. We've lost our last game, haven't we? 2-0. But we should be talking about the FA Cup. We're in the FA Cup, aren't we? It's Watford tonight. We've been talking about the league there, haven't we? The chances of winning the league.
Yeah.
You can win the FA Cup. I said on my little thing that I did this morning, little show this morning. You need to look at a draw in the cup. You can't say that this is a bad draw. I would never disrespect my opponent. But look, we're not playing Liverpool tonight, are we? We're not playing City. We're not even playing, and when I say even, because they're not quite like Liverpool or City, we're not even playing Chelsea, Arsenal or Wolves. We're playing a championship team. So it is a good draw for us. We need to win this game. And then on Monday night, the draw on Monday night, they're drawing 2 games in a row. And we want to look at a draw in that. And hopefully, with the look at a draw, we might be able to reach a final this time rather than just a semi-final.
Christian, Rick, what do you think about Scott captaining the team tonight? I think it's great for him.
I think it's great for him. I didn't know he was, but well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
And this goes into a comment on earlier here. Someone asked, let's see if I can find it. Someone asked what you thought of Fellaini as a centre forward.
I don't know if that's been put up because on Twitter he might have seen who's asking that question.
Lawrence Hughes. Was Fellaini any good? Was Fellaini a good striker for us? Do you think? A lot of people do this, don't they? They always seem to think Fellaini was a striker. I think he was a real handful as a striker.
Yeah.
But for me, he was a CDM as they call him now. He's a midfield player.
Yeah.
And a really good one at that for me.
I thought he was a really good player. Yeah. Strong. I love strong players. You can't beat them.
No.
You literally can't beat them. You know what I mean? I love strong players. Big, strong, right horse.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate what he was doing there playing with Everton, and Everton were always finishing 6th or 7th, 5th once. I think they finished 4th once, didn't they? Marouane Fellaini was a colossal player for me, and some of the things he did for us. He scored some important goals, didn't he? I think he scored the winner in 3 different semi-finals, isn't that the thing that goes around? Or important goals anyway in 3. They might be against smaller clubs. One was against Hull. One was against the Spanish team. Who did we play? And we beat in the Europa League semi. But we went on to win these trophies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so he must have scored. He must also have scored Everton in the FA. He scored against Everton in the FA Cup semi-final as well.
Obviously, he got big goals in the games against Juve.
Yeah, there's a clip out there that people regurgitate from time to time. A clip where I said Marouane Fellaini's a much better player than Fred, and I'll stick by that today. Yeah. I've got no doubt in my mind that he's a better player.
Yeah, when you said
bigger,
that,
stronger. If they were playing against each other, Fred would hardly get a kick of the ball. He'd arm him out of the way and he'd pass it off. Yeah. And also he'd probably go up and score a winner as well. I don't know when Fred's going to go and score a winner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Imagine them as boxers. One can't compete with the other. Different sport.
Compete.
Yeah, they shouldn't be.
Look, Fred's doing all right. He gets around the pitch well. His passing was superb the last 30 minutes of the game the other night. His passing is decent, but I just prefer stronger players, calmer players as well. He's a bit frenetic, Fred. A little bit too gung-ho and running around the field. Everybody says how important. It isn't that important at all. I don't see Liverpool's midfield players bombing all over the pitch, trying to win tackles round the edge of their box and then racing back to get into position. I see calm players, like Wijnaldum and Henderson and Milner even when he plays there, and Thiago Silva. I don't see any of them as being frenetic, tackling, scurrying sort of players. Then it's just not my sort of player. I like them sort of players, and I think Fellaini could play more like that rather than Fred could play. If Jordan Henderson was, there was one game where Fellaini played in midfield. Was it
against Bournemouth?
He have a 98% pass completion.
Yeah, 96 or 97% pass completion.
But that's all they do. The people, there'd be probably people coming in the comments saying, most of them would be sideways and backwards. So are all the best players. Yeah. So are all the best midfield players. Give it easy, give it easy. And eventually there's a little opening, but not an opening. You don't need your midfield players necessarily to even create the chance. You're giving it to your fullback who can create the chance, or a winger who can create the chance. People look at stats. People look at stats about what do they call them? Assists. Do you know what I mean? You look at the assists table at the end of a season. There's not many players with more than 10 assists in a season. Very, very few.
Yeah.
For any team.
Darth Vader.
Don't worry about that.
Sorry, Darth Vader in the super chat. I'm scared, Rick, with Bruno at number 10 versus Liverpool. The ball losses for him and him not being good on the ball really scares me.
I'm dreading that game. They're still a good side with the players they've got missing, but they have got players missing. But I was about to say, let's take one game at a time, so we should really be talking about Watford. But as far as the league is concerned, we've got to beat Burnley. If we beat Burnley, we're still in the hunt. If we beat Burnley, worst case scenario, we are level on points with Liverpool after we play them. Not because we haven't got the squad to do this, but because I don't see Ole picking the team the way he should pick it. I don't see us getting a point at Anfield. I'll be over the moon for us to get a point. We might go there and win. They haven't lost there for about 3 years, have they, or something? But I can't see us getting a point there. And I don't think he'll set the team up. If you set your team up to try to get a point, you can always nick it. It's not about setting your team up and thinking, 0-0 will do. It's not that. You set if you're playing a team that are far superior to you, and let's be honest, Liverpool are far superior to us. If you're playing a team that are far superior to yours, your best chance of winning that game is to stop the opposition from beating you. That's your best chance. If you can keep a clean sheet, you might nick a goal, you might nick it, and okay, worst case scenario, if you get a 0-0 draw, that's fine. But set your stall out. Work past the first 15 minutes 0-0, the first half hour 0. I said this against City the other night. We reached half time 0-0, but too good for us early in the second half. They scored, didn't they?
Thomas Omar, Rick, if you were given 1 minute with Ole, what would your advice to him be? Watch the Football Philosophy channel.
yeah, that's the one. That's the one. I'll come back to Thomas's question in a minute. I just finished, Kirk, because I was in full flow.
Sorry.
The way we should set out at Liverpool, because a draw will do. If we win, great if we win, but a draw will do. no matter what happens at Burnley, by the way, a draw, even if we happen to lose at Burnley, a draw would still do at Liverpool. We'll still be level. But, we've got to win that Burnley game. But the way we should set out Liverpool should have been the way we set out against PSG and the way we set out against Leipzig. If we set out to draw those games, we might have nicked one of them, we might have won one of them. But I reckon, worst ways, we'd have drew one of those 2 games just by picking a proper defensive-minded lineup with just the 1 striker, 2 wide men, 3 midfield players. One of these midfield players being a number 10 who's got licence to get 4. So you've only got 2 up. We played in Leipzig. It's embarrassing. It was just embarrassing the way we 2-0 down in 15, 20 minutes. It wouldn't have been 2-0 down in 15 or 20 minutes if I had to pick the team. I guarantee you that for nothing. So what would I say? So what would me? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I'd do. I mean, I've got. I think we've got on there. Rick's Dream Team's on there, isn't it, for people to look at? I'd probably say to Ollie. Ollie, have a look at Rick's Dream Team. That team will keep the ball for fun. That team will keep the ball like City keep it and like Liverpool keep it, and we will be a better team. We will play better football. Don't worry about who scores the goals. We will score goals. Don't worry about who's going to score them. That team, Rick's Dream Team, is on there. So watch that show rather than me telling you what it is now. So, Ollie, if I could tell you, just have a look at that. Let's get the ball on the floor and pass it around and pick the right players who look after the ball.
Josh Harper, Rick, you've seen it all in football, and you'll have to shut this channel down if we win the league.
If we win the league playing like this.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what will happen, Josh. I'll tell you what, if we won the league playing like this, I was about to say I'll run naked down Market Street, but if we won, anything's possible in football. But if we win the league playing like this, I'll be absolutely stunned. I'd be over the moon. I will come on here and I will say, I'll tell you what, lads, watch a different channel because I don't know anything about the game. If we win the league playing like this, I'll be stunned. I'll tell you that what. I don't know if this could happen. Anything can happen in football. I'll tell you what. I was about to say if he starts picking. I won't bother saying if he starts picking because he ain't going to start picking certain players. But 1 or 2 players could get injured. If certain players, sometimes it falls in your favour. One of my favourite ones is England at the World Cup under Bobby Robson, as he was, Sir Bobby, God rest his soul. I was banging on that Beardsley's got to play, and somebody got injured, and he put Beardsley in, and the nation was uplifted, and they reached a semi-final and were unlucky to get beat by Germany in the semi-final. Obviously, it's too long ago, and I've got no proof, but there was somebody else as well. I think it might have been the fullback, Trevor Stephen. But I was banging on about these 2 players have got to be in the team. It's all wrong what you're doing. You're playing the game the wrong way. You've got to get these players in the team. And there was a couple of injuries, and they came in the team, and the team flew. It flew. Yeah. And this team would do better if he picked players who look after the ball better.
Hayden has said, is this team closer to your preferred first team that's our usual first team?
It
Aside from the back 4, if you look at the personnel in the front 6, we're probably only 2 personnel away from being what would
be fine. Yeah.
What would be your preferred lineup, possibly?
I think look, we are playing a championship team, but they will be decent. We could easily get beat. Now, Van der Beek, for me, is a number 10. I'd still believe... I think he can do a decent job there, but I still believe we could get overrun in midfield. You might find that he's too far forward a bit too often, and McTominay's left alone. But I think we will have Mata and James on the flanks. So that's an help. We should have more men behind the ball. I think a midfield 4 of Mata, McTominay, Van der Beek and James is perfectly fine. You can afford Van der Beek to get forward from that midfield because you've got 2 wide men who will do the job diligently. I think the front... Look, no team can operate with average forwards. I think Greenwood needs to prove me wrong today. I don't think Greenwood's strong enough yet. We need him to prove me wrong today, and I'll come on the show tomorrow and I will say, well done, Mason Greenwood, you proved me wrong and you deserve more games there. And by the way, proving me wrong doesn't just mean smashing one goal in. A chance might well come, and people think, oh, someone's had a great game. I'm on about being strong, holding the ball up, laying it off, getting himself into the box, and also, anybody that saw me clips of Anthony Martial yesterday, the difference in a striker who can receive the ball and actually find himself a little bit of space and turn. And it's funny this, because people are always banging on about sideways passes. But if you study Martial's game, and you can study the clips from yesterday, the number of times he turns and finds a sideways pass. Now, don't forget, the ball's been played up to Martial. So Martial's the furthest forward player, or supposed to be. We often find Bruno's further forward than him these days, which astonishes me. But Martial's supposed to be the furthest forward player. When the ball's played to that man, that's as far forward as you can go. There's nobody else further. So when he's passing it sideways, there's a chance of him then getting in the box. And we're not going backwards. We're keeping up the field. And the number of times Martial comes to the ball, receives it, people don't realise how important it is and also how good it is. So it's something here to watch for tonight. Martial regularly gets it, manages to keep hold of it as he turns and pass sideways passes, either to wingers or to fullbacks who are coming forward. There's 3 or 4 clips of him doing that just on yesterday's game. So what we don't need too often, and it's fine occasionally, it's the right option, but just having a striker who can receive it and pass it back where it comes from is not the ideal situation. Sometimes it's important, don't just give it away willy-nilly, but let's see if Mason's got that in his locker tonight of actually receiving the ball either in space or holding players off and passing it sideways, so we're keeping the ball up the field. Something for everybody to watch for.
Talent, Ricky, what's your dream team? And that lineup would struggle to finish mid-table. And followed by Nathan Bibby saying, Rick, you say we need to keep the ball well, but do you think we have those players to sustain that style? As well as do you think they would have the quality to finish the couple of chances that they will get?
Do we think we can keep the ball well enough with this team, did he say?
No, I think to do with the players that are named in your dream team, I think Nathan's getting at. That's why I've linked it with the previous comment about the dream team struggling to finish mid-table. And people, it's like people think that Van der Beek or Mata have never been involved in a team that scored a goal before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These players have played in top teams.
Yeah, Mata's won the European Cup.
Create chances.
Don't worry that he's 32 now or something. He's won the European Cup, one Mata. And got credited with the assist. They drew 1-1, didn't they, and won it on pens.
Yeah.
You know, it was a corner kick, fair enough. But he's got an assist in the European Cup final, one Matt. I wonder if any more of our players will ever get an assist in the European Cup final. I doubt it.
Yeah.
And he's only 32. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Do not worry about that.
Yeah.
We're ageist in this country. Ageist.
Yeah. The moments of I want to say brilliance. The special moments that we're seeing from some of the regular starters that people may believe are propping up our current performances, form, points tally. You've pointed this out in a couple of your videos that they're attempting it that often. Phil Jones could do that.
It's bound to come off occasionally.
It'll come off every now and again.
It's bound to come off occasionally.
Where true quality prevails.
Point.
Where true quality prevails is knowing that the game's supposed to be played simple, as you always bring up the famous Johan Cruyff quote. It's playing simple football is the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's then having that quality to recognise when something difficult is worth the gamble, but not just recognising that it's worth the gamble, but then having the technical ability to execute it at a high percentage.
Yeah, at a high percentage.
Yeah,
exactly. So you're 100% right. You know, I think Flex said to me on the fan cam, he brought up Jemba. Look, it was a simple, basic footballer. I'm not saying Jemba should be in the team now. I was a bit flustered the other night, and I said I would rather have had him that night. But on that given night, almost anybody would have been better. Almost anybody. Just no point. Look, if you keep knocking these long balls and keep knocking these fancy balls, you get away with it when one comes off and you get a goal from it. And not only do you get away with it, but it adds fuel to the fire for the people who want to criticise me and say, look what he's done. But I honestly believe this. If you've got somebody on there who's going to try 10 fancy flamboyant balls or 10 long balls or a combination, one might come off for anybody. If you put Phil Jones in midfield and said, like, you're allowed to knock 10 long balls or 10 fancy balls tonight, we might get a goal from it. We might. Just stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Give the simple ball and try and make the opportunity for someone when the opportunity's there to make an opportunity, not when it's not really there. That's how to play. That's how City play, and it's how Liverpool play. Look, the people. So one or two might come on and say, "Oh, I saw such a body try a long ball the other day, Henderson perhaps, or I saw him try a through ball." And he got look, of course, but it's not consistent. And time again, all players make mistakes. Maybe all players get a rush of blood now and then, but you do not need a player in your team who's consistently, time after time, trying difficult passes and giving up possession. You don't need it, and it's nearly 22.
Yeah.
One more question, eh?
Something that linking from that, Yeti Shetty has said, we're a mid-table team without Bruno, which is a fact.
No, it's not.
It's definitely not a fact, is it?
No, it's not a fact.
No.
What's what does he mean by mid-table? What does he mean by mid-table?
Well, he's put, we were languishing in 13th before he came. Accept the fact and get over your agenda against him.
We can't prove anything, can we? If people want to see it how they want to see it. First of all, we don't know where we would have finished, do we? We don't know what would have happened. But I will say this. Before he came, what I don't understand is why Pereira and Jesse Lingard were getting so much game time. And Juan Mata wasn't getting any game time. And I know Lingard's been injured recently, but he's not always been injured. He's just got bombed out for a bit, and then he got an injury, and now he's back in. How he's playing tonight is beyond me. But Jesse Lingard and Andreas Pereira didn't need to be playing. They didn't need to be playing. No. We had better players than them. What Ollie was doing, picking those players. And he wasn't playing Matic either. And Matic came into the team only just before Bruno came in. There was a lot of things that happened all at once. Bruno was a part of it, a big part of it, fair enough. But if Matic wouldn't have come into the team, if he wouldn't have been playing Pereira or Lingard in the number 10 role regularly, he would have been playing Juan Mata in the number 10 role regularly instead of Mata. Mata used to be on the bench, and when we signed Bruno, Lingard and Pereira dropped past the bench and Mata still stayed on the bench. It seems to me that Ollie seems to think Mata's, I would have thought the players who were in the team would have been now the players who are now on the bench.
That's how it should work.
That's how you would think. But they were dropped past him.
Yes.
Why were he playing in front of him?
I don't understand it at all.
I don't get it one little bit.
No.
We didn't need to be as bad as we were.
No.
Matic was bombed out and only came into the team in January. A few weeks before Bruno came in. If Matic didn't come into that team, which he came into the team because McTominay got injured, if Matic would not have come into that team, it would not have been as successful, trust me. It really wouldn't. So there's a lot of different things happened, and he has a big part of it, especially with the amount of goals he scored, absolutely. But don't for 1 minute think it was just entirely down to that one player.
Yeah.
It's about so many other different things that all happened at the same time.
And obviously a football team is also an evolution. At that time, there was no Van der Beek. It wasn't Bruno coming in to replace Van der Beek and we've got great. Bruno came in and replaced
Lingard.
Pereira. Do you know what I mean? Of course it was an improvement. I believe there's now another improvement there.
Again, I agree.
A player who's got the ability to produce moments of magic when called upon, but has got a better ability to identify when it's on and when it's not. And when it's not on, he plays it simple, and that would, for me, help us to play better football
tonight. But he's playing in the midfield, and I feel sorry for the kid. He needs a game at number 10, and Jesse Lingard's probably going to be playing at number 10. So we've now signed Bruno, we've signed Van der Beek. We've got Juan Mata who wasn't getting. All right, he might be at 10 tonight. Lingard might be right, but I've got a feeling Lingard will be at 10. How has Jesse Lingard come back into this team, even though it's Watford in the cup?
One more here, just from Alex Nunes, because I think it's interesting.
Go on.
Hi, Ricky. Do you ever think that with a more strict coach could ever coach Bruno and Fred to play more simpler, and players like Rashford and Greenwood to track back into better shape?
I do think they could improve it. Without a doubt, they could improve it. I don't think Fred plays too flamboyantly. The only thing I've got against Fred is that I believe we've got a better player. I like. Look, you've got to have ability. Of course, you've got to have ability. It's no good just saying, "Oh, I've got a 6'3" player here. He's playing." You've got to have ability. But who can say Nemanja Matic hasn't got ability? If you've got players with ability, I prefer stronger, bigger players. That's what I prefer. Simple as that. So Fred's fine for what he can do, but give me Nemanja Matic every day of the week. But he's not flamboyant. He's not in the same mould as Bruno, playing too many long balls.
So on the Fred one, he can't be coached to become 6'2". He
can't be coached to become 6'2".
No.
Fred is what he is, and he plays well sometimes. I was amazed how well he played the last half hour the other night. Amazed, But he can't be coached to become 6'2". He gets pushed off the ball too easy.
If you're that small, you have to be absolutely exceptional, don't you? You have to bring something that you can't go and get anywhere else in a taller, stronger player.
Yeah.
You have to be bringing something that isn't available with a taller, stronger player.
While we're on that subject, when we played West Ham away, I've said this before, but there'll be people watching who won't have seen it. When we played West Ham away, they've got Souček and Rice in midfield. Rice is 6'2", Souček is 6'4". And Ollie was quoted as saying that he used was it Matic and Pogba that day? I think it was Matic, or it might have been McTominay and Pogba. Either way, Fred didn't play, and he said we're matching up their tall players by using our taller players in midfield. Now, I don't care what anyone says. That's got to mean that he thinks that their tall players have got an advantage over our small player. It must mean that. Otherwise, why? Look, Paul Scholes was only, 5'9" or something, 5'8". Absolutely wonderful player. I don't care. This is what I'm talking about. If you're small and you're special, absolutely special, that's different. I don't care how tall the player is playing against Paul Scholes. I fancy Paul Scholes against him. But in this particular situation, for Ollie to say we're matching up their two big players with big players, surely that means he thinks that those big players have got an advantage over the smaller player, does it not? And if it does, why don't we use our big players against smaller players all the time? Because they've got an advantage. In his own mind, he's saying, is he not, that the bigger players have got an advantage. And we wanted to nullify it against West Ham.
Particularly
let's dominate other teams. Let our big players dominate the smaller players.
Particularly in the middle of the park. I mean, obviously, we spoke about other players there that are small, and when you speak about a Maradona or a Messi or whatever it might be, or a Sterling, so not putting Sterling in the same category as Messi,
but he's different class.
But think of the positions that they play as well.
Yeah.
There's none of these players that play in a central defensive midfield.
No
one plays there who's really small.
I can't. Somebody will probably come up with one.
Or maybe Kante or Makalele, actually. They're small players, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're special.
They are special. You can see the difference.
They're special.
Don't tell me Kante and Makalele are not miles better than Fred.
Yeah. They're from another planet compared to...
From another planet.
Yeah, from another planet altogether. Yeah.
Right.
We better bring it to an end.
I hope you've all enjoyed that show. We went on a bit longer today, didn't we? It's 1:45. It kicks off in 15 minutes. I've got to do me tweet yet, giving out the team news. The match will be kicked off before you know it. I hope you've enjoyed that show. If you've enjoyed it, please tell all your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anyone. Keep stum.